Hello, friends, and welcome to the Lucid Living Show, where we engage in essential conversations with ordinary people just like you, achieving the extraordinary. I'm your host, George E. Green, and we have an exciting, inspiring, and informative show for you today with my featured guests, Christine L. Bowen and Jessica Dewell, as together we define and map your path and power to authentic enthusiasm and sustainable commitment while learning how and stretching into playing all in each and every day. We're bringing the fire today, friends, and we'll be bringing Christine and Jessica on right after our big announcement and our opening segment, First Words. Our big announcement and reveal today is the unification of our two shows and programs here on Google Plus, now under one banner and brand. Beginning next Thursday at our same broadcast time of 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, join my featured guest, author Paul Samuel Dolman, and I for the new Mindfulness Advantage show. Same format, same extraordinary guests, stories, and essential conversations under one banner and brand. Our commitment to you, my friends, is to bring you relevant, resonant, thoughtful, focused, and provocative content more than worthy of your sharing and replay. As CEO, creator, and chief facilitator of the Mindfulness Advantage Advanced Training and Mentoring Systems, I partner with, train, and mentor with people from all walks of life, from blue collar to business executive, in an elegantly simple yet profoundly powerful set of tools, trainings, and daily practices. My client partners and I collaborate and work together in creating massive upgrades in their focus, presence, purpose, productivity, and most importantly, greater satisfaction and fulfillment within their lives and their worlds. If you desire to choose to imagine more, to imagine better, then join me and join our special featured guests every week on our new playground. This is your next and greatest adventure. Let's play. And now it's time for our opening segment, First Words. Today, we are here together to spark, build, and sustain your fires of enthusiasm, of your commitment. We choose and desire to inspire you into making your grand and ongoing investment of playing all in each and every day. These are some of the core and essential mindsets required for your epic success, and they also represent the core source of success employed by all great leaders, visionaries, makers, maestros, and champions. Together today, we're blazing way past the bumper stickerisms and shallow, transient expressions to dive into the deep ocean, the deep end of our ocean, known as enthusiasm, commitment, and playing all in. Even and especially at this depth, we are engaged in a very human journey and endeavor. We forge forward with enthusiasm, faith, and fire, knowing that we will encounter both shadow and resistance, where what seems and appears at first glance to be great risk evolves quickly into great, massive benefit and a feast of life's abundance. This is your new playground, your heroes and sheroes journey. This is your next and greatest adventure. So let's get this party started. Christine L. Bowen and Jessica Dewell are my dear friends here on the Plus, and together we've been making a career out of stretching so far forward into the most fabulous expressions of our dreams and visions that we continue to learn how to make friends with our fears and our resistance. We are, just like you, completely human, and we do the work and we do it daily. That's how you'll find and fire up your own enthusiasm, friends. Christine and Jessica, thank you both for being here and standing in your fire with us today. Okay, say something.
Oh, you want me to say with that our cue?
Yeah, that's your cue to throw down with the verbiage.
To throw it down, show up, be right here. Well, I want to give a great big hug to you, George, to you, Christine, and to you, Sheila. I'm actually really excited Sheila's here today.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Christine.
I am equally excited to be in the presence of greatness, as Sheila said in the green room. I am thrilled to be a guest panelist along with Jess. Jess is someone who tremendously impacted my life last year when she waltzed into it, and definitely helped me bring the fire and the enthusiasm to my life.
Indeed. Thank you both, and thank you, Sheila, for assisting today in production and comments. You are a queen, a gift, and we receive your grace and your generosity with gratitude, my friend.
Thank you, George.
Let's begin.
Can I jump right in?
Of course you can.
Okay, so yesterday, for all of you watching, Christine and George and I had this fabulous conversation, and it got me thinking, and I spent a lot of time, and then I picked up Carter from school yesterday, and he made me this. Okay, check this out. It looks, I mean, you will never guess what this is, ever in a million years. Actually, that's not true. I don't want to say you will never guess. Would you like to take a shot at what this is?
No idea.
It's a model of a two-dimensional universe.
It's a great guess. That's kind of where my guess went. This is a sword shooter. Okay? Everything Carter does right now, it's about shooting, guns, the mechanics, how things work. It's not necessarily the fact that it's a gun, it's how does it work and what does that trigger do and how does everything go inside of it and then come back out of it again and what does it put together. So he sat down and he created a sword shooter for me yesterday. And I am so in awe that, one, he would build something and give it to me, and two, that he spent the time to put something that was in his brain and bring it out into the world. And I think that that goes right into the commitment and the enthusiasm. He's excited. He's excited to turn anything he can get his hands on into this vision of being able to figure out how something works. And so that enthusiasm, that desire to know, that curiosity, and then whatever form it takes when it comes out, takes him on his path and goes down a little bit, brings a little bit more to the table. And I had to think about that because in relationship to our conversations, I am really sick. And the good news is I feel less sick today than I was yesterday, but I'm sicker than it probably looks like I am. And that reorganization is when that really happens to me. When I get that sick, it's when I've lost a little bit of this or I've found a little bit of this, and it's time to change its shape. It's time to let the ripples that I have, what's inside of me, to come out more, come out differently, show up, be that much brighter, and giving myself permission and allowing that to happen to see what those ripples look like and how they affect the world around me so that I can keep going down my path.
Indeed, you know, this is a great piece and point that Jessica is bringing up, and that is the source of our enthusiasm. We're born into enthusiasm and grace when we take on this physical form. Excuse me. It's our job to remember, to be in the remembrance of who we are, to recall the imagination, the massive creativity that comes with being an innocent, that comes with being a young human being. Now what happens over time is our culture and our familial dynamic creates overlays over that innocence, over that burning fire of not only imagination, but I remember when I was a kid, and I invite you to remember, that when I was a little kid, my imagination told me anything was possible. And holy cow, when we go into enthusiasm, just like Jess was a minute ago, we show up like little enthusiastic, on-fire children, because that's who we are still. Christine, jump in there.
Absolutely. This is what I love Jess for. She just throws in this seeming wrench, and it's just amazing the wisdom that's behind it. I just commented in the stream that go Carter. That's creative power sparked by childlike enthusiasm. That's one thing that I internalized over the last few years, is to nurture that inner child, because that is where we have the wide-eyed innocence, endless possibilities. We're fearless. We're willing to make mistakes. We're willing to bruise our knees and get up, dust it off, and keep going. So I absolutely love that.
Yes, our children often are our teachers. And so let's dive in. The idea, and I talked about bumper stickerisms and shallow expressions. There is a false enthusiasm that shows up, and often that's us forcing us to be in the game when we're really not feeling it, and we put our game face on. It's understandable. In our new playground, we play outside of right and wrong, so that's other than wrong. But what we're sharing today, what we're inviting you to remember and or cultivate and experience today, is authentic enthusiasm. So a lot of people, I always play devil's advocate in my head. So my first question with horns is, how the hell do you do that? How do you get enthusiastic when I'm overwhelmed? I've got a laundry list, I've got relationships, I've got jobs, I have kids or cats or dogs or whatever. Most of us have a challenging and challenged relationship with time. And so because of our story, we find it very challenging to be enthusiastic. So what does enthusiasm mean? One of the root Latin words for enthusiasm is entheos. In entheos, the loose translation for the function of our conversation today is God is in me and active within me. The literal translation is you're possessed by spirit. Well, bring that on. When we see great leaders, masters, maestros, champions, people who are trailblazers, who show up looking like they are fearless, it's because they have surrendered themselves to a divine spirit of entheos and enthusiasm. That's scary. So let's talk about how we may have been indoctrinated in our past and how we have overcome the boat anchors we tow behind ourselves, and how we now scare ourselves with the full force and fire of our enthusiasm. Who would like to go first?
I'll go with my heart. I'm going to go first. So I was scrolling through your comment stream today, GeoBoom, and I saw an image of a gentleman with Starbucks coffee flicking out of his cup and papers and cell phones, and his expression looked like my week this week. And it brought to mind a quote that I absolutely love that says, "Peace, it does not mean to be in a place where there's no noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be in the midst of those things and still be calm in your heart." And on the surface, easier said than done. But for me, I believe we make time for what's important. So if we place ourselves, our desires, and what's in our heart as a priority, we're definitely going to develop enthusiasm for that. It's just like dating or courting someone else, where you're looking for that ideal mate or that ideal friend or that ideal client partner, and you're qualifying them for what you need. Well, we should be doing the same thing for ourselves first and foremost. I truly believe that when we focus on what we desire and we're enthusiastic about it, so much more unfolds. And the quote that I just mentioned, everything appears to be calm because you're calm from within.
It's a really critically important point here, and that is to be in and generate enthusiasm. Again, this is what I call the remembrance, is we are required to return to our essential conversation and relationship with ourselves, with our heart, what Rumi calls, my favorite poem, calls the beloved. And so what Christine is doing is inviting us to court ourselves, to use her language from yesterday's content strategy meeting. I love that, and it really is the essence of one of the books I'm writing called Prayers for the Beloved. Our remembrance, first and foremost, is we have to remember that we have a primary relationship with self and the universe, divinity, God, Bob, whatever you want to call it, whatever your God of understanding is. Entheos, again, God is active within me. That's the key relationship, the animus that animates us forward with faith and fire in full relationship and friendship with our fears and our doubts, so that we can embody, so we can crawl into and live inside our living visions already fulfilled. So I am caffeinated and on fire. Christine, you want to roll forward with that?
Absolutely. I'm chuckling because you always make me smile, and with your enthusiasm. I'm not caffeinated, but I'm high on life, honey. So I'm going to dial it back to childhood, if I may.
Please.
We were discussing that yesterday in our brainstorm mastermind session. Jess initiated that, which this is what I love about her. She always causes me to think deeper.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
She is brilliant. She's brilliant. So we were speaking about, adopting within our own mindset and our own heart set what's happening externally from childhood with our parents, with our schoolmates, with our teachers. And for me, this is kind of diverging even off of what I shared yesterday. My mom has always been non-traditional in the sense that she always pushes us, my brother, my sister, and I, to be exactly who we are, be true to that person because that's how she is. Yet, growing up, you have to adjust. You have to get to that point. My mom obviously had experienced decades of life prior to me. So for me, growing up in Jamaica, even though we are a melting pot of people, for some reason, I'll just put it in quotes, I've always been singled out and looked at as different. Either I'm too smart, or my hair is too long, or she's so pretty, and all of these things. And I would always find myself trying to fit in to other people and their standards. And growing up into adulthood, I found myself doing the same thing, and I became very hardened. And even though I said I was happy, which to me is directly linked to enthusiasm, I truly wasn't. And it wasn't until just recently, 5 years ago, I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to start finding out who I am, what it is I actually desire, and most importantly, why am I here? What is my purpose? And so I started to dive deep into that. I'm still on the journey. I'm still learning. But I'm blessed, and I say this humbly, that I now put myself first. I put my desires first. I put my purpose first. And even though my week is chaotic, I am still at peace because I know that I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm. This is hugely important, and this is.
Can I say something? I'm going to jump in.
I'm gonna fade right into you right here. This is hugely important, what Christine just said, because thinking of yourself first. Many people are uncomfortable with doing that, and they feel it is selfish. And Jessica and her partner, Scott Scowcroft, their entire season of Jess and Scott and You Show is about the question of, am I being selfish or not? So, and my answer is, heaven no. You got to take care of yourself. You've got to make sure that you are fed, that you're operating from a place of inspiration and strength, and then you can serve other people. Jess, bring the fire, girl.
All I have to say at this moment, I heard you say it, I heard Christine say it, I am.
I am that I am. That is
I
the
am.
decree.
And that's and when we worry about putting ourselves first, and we're told to put everybody else first because that's the polite thing to do, the right thing to do. We support others. We give and we give and we give and we give. Well, guess what? We're all stardust. We're made from the same things that stars are made from. So with all of the same matter floating around, all of us have a journey, and each of us has a voice. And when we don't use that voice, we get lost, and we get the doldrums, and we get all of these different things, and we think we're on a path, and we learn what happy feels like. It's almost like if you had a splinter in your finger, and it hurt, and you couldn't get the splinter out. After a few days, you can't feel the splinter anymore, but it's still there, and it's still causing hurt. We adapt what we think happy should be based off of what's happening inside of us, and so when these really big shakeups occur, I mean, you could walk into your office and something crazy happens. You could walk out your front door and it didn't snow 7 feet like they said it was going to snow 7 feet. Or, you know, it does whatever's going on. It could be big, it could be little, it could be earth-shattering, it could be something happening in your family or your friendship or your neighborhood. And it's those shakeups, they really test us. And when I know there was a time going way back, and then there was a time that I put on stories that other people wanted me to wear because I'm like, well, that must be what happiness is when other people are proud of me, when other people smile and tell me I'm doing a good job and all that good stuff. And I followed that for many, many years. And then I got to my 20s, and it didn't work anymore, and I made a really big decision, and it shocked my entire family, and it was around playing the flute. And so it wasn't earth-shattering, it wasn't, well, it was. In our family, it was earth-shattering, and somebody in my family said to me, I don't even know you anymore. And I was glad it was on the telephone.
Why? Because you
exactly.
decided playing the flute wasn't who you were, right?
At that moment, it didn't serve me anymore, so I let it go, and I felt space, and I felt bigness. And you know what my response to that was? I said, that's okay, because I don't know me yet either.
Okay, let me just say, wow. Okay, that is a powerful statement, and it's a statement that intimates that you, Jess, are on a hero, Shero's journey of inner inquiry, yes?
Yes. The questions, the reflections, the desire to know that whatever's in front of me is my perception, and my perception is just one voice out of 7 billion voices, out of how many gazillion trillion, molecules in the entire universe. And it's all of those, when they're put together, that make us, that we realize, wow, we're just as important as the dust on the floor. We're just as important as the person, the people running our countries, or giving up their time, or going out where people need help after a natural disaster, even if it's just at our home, making sure we get our kids up and to school on time, that they have an opportunity to play and to be creative and to expand their, we all have our role. And it may not be, here's the other thing, we may find ourselves, you said this at the beginning, George, when we were talking about, you were saying something along the lines of, how do you do all this when life just sits on you? And it's just sitting on all of your shoulders. Well, I have to tell you, it's the little things. It is the little things. It's going, oh, you know what? 4 deer walked up the front porch, up my front drive, and were right outside my window. So instead of taking pictures from my office, I went outside and I took pictures from my driveway. That is the connection with the nature. It's connection with something bigger than ourselves. It's something that seems novel. And that novelty can come in very big form. It can also come in the tiniest form.
And here's the reality. I want to tie a lot of things in here together, if I may, and then we're going to jump to a station ID real quick. But What we're talking about is enthusiasm, purpose, presence. Okay, hello, the mindfulness advantage. And we're also talking about the greatest inner inquiry question we can ask, which is, who am I? What is my I am? And why am I here? Huge questions. Now, I was a student I had the honor of being a student of a Native American spirit interpreter. Cheyenne of blood and adopted Lakota. And one of the first ceremonies I attended, all these people are grouped around and we're sitting around a fire and we're getting ready to serve a bunch of people that are going on their hambalecha, their vision quest. And my teacher walks around, we're all sitting there in our sort of Western chaotic minds, and she gets right up in our grill and says, "Why are you here?" Everybody kind of pulls back. So there, that question and the lesson of why am I here echoes in my mind to this day. And her invitation to us was, whatever your shit is, leave that at the gate, because you're here for one reason, and that is to serve those people who are going out to pray for you, to pray for their families, and to pray for our communities. So whatever you're doing, if it's taking out the garbage or making food or building a fire or sweeping dirt, ask yourself, why are you here? And when you get up in your own grill and you keep asking yourself that question, and you have this gentle metric of, am I in purpose? Am I standing in my fire? Am I in my entheos? Am I an instrument for divinity, for service, for God? Holy cow, you bet you're going to have some enthusiasm to deal with. So let's jump in right here. Sheila, if you would, in a second, pull up a prime comment while I give some shout-outs. We've got Ray A. Miller in the house. Steve Bowen. Who else do we have here? I remember seeing Cheryl Douche. She dropped in for a few minutes. Cheryl, we love you, and we're looking forward to your comments in the replay. Let's see. And is there... let's go ahead and throw up that comment. I'm going to pin you up. Steve Bowen, of course, it is a sword shooter. What else could it be? It's like flowers for boys, you know? That's an excellent one. Any
well,
other?
You know, he calls himself a figureouter, right? That is what Carter's his
You
current.
need to put that on a brass plaque and just put that on his room or his desk or whatever. Right?
I gotta hashtag that figureouter.
Figureouter. I know, it's awesome.
So, shifting gears here, I'm just to invite the people who are watching live with us. I have an inkling that we may go a little long, because who wants to put out a fire when we're just getting ready to put some wieners and marshmallows on a stick and get to roasting, right?
That's right.
So let's shift gears here. What we're talking about and what we shared are some personal stories. My own personal story is similar to Jessica Dewell's story, which is I had a parental voice who I'm in right relationship with, but my mother really struggled with her own worth, so she was tenacious and committed to improve herself always, and in that tenacity and that compulsion to prove herself worthy, she felt like whatever she did, she could do better. So that is the presence. That is my enthusiastic presence of my mother's enthusiasm. But how that shows up as it's expressed is received as you didn't do it right, or it's not good enough. And that was really, you know, the hereditary, the DNA that I inherited from that side of the family was, you're not good enough. So how did that translate? Well, my enthusiasm was a false fire because I was always trying to set my hair on fire to get attention and prove people that I was awesome. But I doubted that. And so what happens as a child and a young adult when your enthusiasm is unbridled and wild and driven by something other than entheos is I've got a lot of scars from banging up against walls and, you know, crashing water skiing, doing 45 miles an hour. Jessica's got her hand up, me too. So my entire lifetime has been invested in learning how to make friends with my fire. Originally, my fire nearly burned me to a crisp. Now, that's enough to scare you out of being enthusiastic, but that's my nature. But my desire was to endure, to not crash and burn. So even to this day, my inner inquiry, my daily practice, my mindfulness practice that I teach is devoted to sitting with and being present to one simple question. Am I in alignment with my highest purpose? Am I standing in my true fire? And am I allowing myself to be infused and imbued with divinity, with grace? And the reality is, when we operate inside our vision, whatever it is, whether it's my vision to build the best breakfast ever in the morning, or my vision to write books and be a paid speaker, when we are in our vision and it's alive and living in us and we're in it, we are in alignment, or we are in a greater alignment with our purpose, our reason, why am I here? And that is where you will experience your entheos, your enthusiasm. And the more we dip into that pool, the more we wade into that pool, and eventually we just go, the hell with it, and dive in the deep ocean. Our entheos, our enthusiasm, brings us into a state of grace.
Yes. Yes.
And from our state of grace that we have called upon and allowed to explode outward as a shiny fire, we enter into the alchemical space of miracles. Period. Now, this may sound fanciful, but we live it. The people that I look upon that are my models, my two friends here today, inspire me to do the same thing we're talking about. So if you have doubt, if there's cynicism, then I invite you to talk to me. Talk to Christine. Talk to Jessica. Talk to Sheila. Talk to somebody who has a different point of view, who is not burdened by the boat anchors you're still married to, you're dragging behind you. So let's open it up.
I would say there are two ways to deal with that. There's the, cut the chain, blow up the chain that it might be holding you back. Also, sometimes it's just being with yourself until you're ready to let it go on your own. And there's value in all three of those approaches. And I know there are some things I needed. I needed external support to walk away. I needed external support to go, and it felt like walking away because it's a change in how I look at myself, which, of course, from my perspective, means the whole world is going to look at me differently. Yeah. Which, in reality, maybe that's not the case, but we've got to sit with ourselves and be able to go, yeah, okay, I'm actually ready sometimes. And I think that there's honor in sitting with that, whatever that feeling is that goes with it. And sometimes there's more than one in there. What might start out with sadness might turn out into complete and utter rage, might turn into a bittersweet joy, or an outright amazing happy dance. Until you sit with yourself, you don't know. And that's actually something that I would say too, is no matter what you do, when you talk to somebody or not, be prepared to sit with yourself, because something that Christine keeps saying that I absolutely love, and it's resonating in my heart of hearts, is love yourself first. Take yourself out on dates. Take care of you. And we have to do that for ourselves. Mm-hmm.
Such an important piece. Christine, get ready. I'm going to toss the fire to you in just a second, but to circle back to what Jessica just said, this is hugely important. Okay? The reason I describe our show and the relationship that I create and build with my friends here and with my client partners and my family and the world is one of high partnership, high agreements, collaboration, and commitment to each other. That's why we call this space your new playground, because we're playing outside of right and wrong, outside of judgment, your own and your perceived judgments that are simply reflections back to you on your inner unconscious judgments. So welcome to your new playground first and foremost, and one of the guidelines for your new playground is to make friends with your foes, make friends with your fear and your doubt and your past. And you can't do that by arm wrestling those things. You can't duke it out, because I guarantee you your past will kick your ass. What Jess said is our invitation. Your greatest outcome to victory and success is to simply sit with these things and sit with the way you used to relate to them and remember why you're here. Remember who you are, first and foremost, and love and nurture that. All right, Christine, I'm jumping to you as soon as we look at this comment by Ray A. Miller. Crashing into those walls help guide us to success. The important thing is to know to get up and find the next wall. Well, that's true to a certain extent, but I'll tell you what, I have more knots on my head than I'd like to admit. And so, yeah, crashing into walls can educate you, but at what cost? My invitation to you, and we're pitching to you, Christine, in just a couple of seconds, my invitation to you is to imagine a life where there are no walls to crash into. Christine, bring it, baby.
See, you are amazing, GeoBoom. I noticed the same comment from Ray, and what I gleaned from that, what you shared is absolutely brilliant, GeoBoom, because yes, we have to think of limit. When we think about our possibilities, it's limitless. There are no limits. There are learning points in our journey, though, and so for me, I always travel back to that inner child, and I love that you call this space the new playground, because that sings to my heart. We have to go back to those innocent days where even if we did crash into a wall, even if we did fall off the bicycle, we didn't just give up. We were still on our mission to learn to ride that bicycle no matter what. Doesn't matter how many times I fall, how many cuts, how many bruises, I'm going to ride this bicycle regardless of what anyone else says. So there's so many things I want to touch on, so I'll try to keep it brief.
Go for it.
You were mentioning, putting our enthusiasm into taking out the trash, into the little things in life. And I truly believe that, because Dr. Wayne Dyer says whatever we focus on expands.
Yes.
So if we're putting our all into whatever it is we're doing, no matter how menial or no matter what the drudgery is around it, even choosing those words is a choice.
Yes.
We
Let me jump in real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Let me jump in real quick, because I believe he also said, love everything you do on your way to doing what you love. It's really important. This is mindfulness. This is the practice of mindfulness. If you don't know what your purpose is, then act and behave purposefully. If you're taking out the garbage, take out the garbage rather than rummage around inside this garbage here. Be laser beam focused. There is a state of being that's achieved that I teach, and that's called the singularity of presence. Imagine zero distractions. Imagine such laser beam focus and certainty and enthusiasm that you become a single point of being and consciousness. That's called the center of your heart. Keep going, Christine.
Absolutely.
Boom,
I
boom,
love
boom.
that quote. You got to put that in the comment stream somewhere so I can bookmark it.
I'll do it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's whatever we focus on expands. For me, enthusiasm, which is linked to joy, is directly linked to our gratitude. And Jess touched on this in the smallest things. So I can totally relate to what you said, Jess. Instead of looking out the window and taking pictures, which is something I do a lot, I'm in the home office a lot. More to be revealed in months to come. Shameless self-promotion. But I'm
Yay.
always looking at nature to keep myself grounded. I'm always staying connected and realizing that I'm just a speck, but a significant speck. And so sometimes I do walk outside, not only to take the picture, but to feel the air, to smell, you know, nature, and to hear the birds, and all of that puts your mindset into a state of gratitude. And when you feel that gratitude, and I'm speaking for myself, I become more enthusiastic about my day, about my moment, and I can come back to the office and deal with whatever it is I was dealing with. So being present, being purposeful in everything that we're doing is definitely key.
Purposeful action. Oh, and there are three places that I notice people start. I start with action. So if I am in a rut, the first thing I do is do something. Something, something, something. It doesn't even matter what it is, but doing helps get whatever it is that needs to be chugging through my brain so I can figure out where the trash is to get it out, moving. Some people need to sit and daydream. Other people need to plan. And there might be more than that. These are the three that I tend to see most often. And wherever you tend to go, just know. And let's say you find yourself, okay, so I was in a meeting, not in the too distant past, and these happen a lot for me, where we get in this meeting, we brainstorm, and all of a sudden everybody wants to plan. Well, planning is actually my arch nemesis. So as productive as I am, as purposeful as I am, when people want to get down to making these super granular lists, my whole body freezes up. It's like, now what do I do? And I actually have to walk away from that and go do something completely different to shake myself up and then be able to look at that in a different way. And so if we know what makes us lose our energy, when we can identify that, it's not that we're losing our focus necessarily, it's that we're around something that's our Achilles heel, and we need to be able to shift focus. So there's this awareness that we can bring to what we're doing and how we're doing things that allows us. That allows us to really stay focused and keep that gratitude, to be able to, and power through is, I like power through because it could be, well, I really don't feel like it, but I'm going to, but it also can be, there's no stopping me.
Yeah. Christine has a comment she'd like to share. Throw it up, Christine.
Man, this conversation is on fire. I am just so stoked right now, and this is what I want to bring across. One of the things I learned, especially more so in the last 12 to 24 months, is aligning myself and surrounding myself with people who will fuel my enthusiasm, will champion my greatness and not criticize. And it's, on the surface, it sounds like, hey, okay, that makes sense, but doing it is a different thing. Holding on to relationships that are not serving you, holding on to people that are constantly trying to keep you wherever they are in their life, that only holds you back, and it does rob you of your enthusiasm. So one thing I can say is I have met in the last 12 to 24 months, perhaps longer, just some incredible people, inclusive of the ones that are right here with me, that just champion the things that I'm enthusiastic about. They encourage it. So the self-reflection and the self-inquiry is definitely important, to be clear about who you are and what you desire. But in addition to that, we must connect ourselves and align ourselves with divine, what I call divine connections, people who are there to champion your spirit.
Exactly. Divine partnerships, collaborations. It's our job to seek out sources of inspiration that are reflective of our deep fire and enthusiasm. And sometimes it takes seeking out someone who will break their foot off in your backside with absolute love, who will call you out, who will challenge you, not in the adversarial sense, but in the enthusiasm and encouraged sense, to stop hiding, to
I
get
have
off the
one more.
bench, to
I
get
have
off,
to.
yeah, hang on to it, to get off the bench and get in the game. So we started out Jumpstart Your January, Christine and I, inviting you to consider collaborating with a coach. Artemis and I, in the second week, talked about how to build a vision and give it life. And then Jessica and I last week, I'm trying to remember what we talked about.
Action. Take action.
Taking
Do
action.
work.
And now, speaking of taking action, Christine, jump in there with your thought, please.
My thought is to publicly thank you, GeoBoom. Yesterday was a very, very challenging day for me,
For all of us.
mentally, professionally. Something was whizzing around. One of the refining moments. My beautiful, beloved friend, GeoBoom, just out the blue, just before I was going to retire. This was late at night, and the subject line just said, "Oh, you are stronger than you know."
Yes.
And then in the body it said, "Boom." And he knew that something was up. Didn't know what it was, but knew that energetically I needed a boost. And these are the types of people that we should have in our lives. I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, well, you know, I just love and appreciate you, all three of you, supreme goddesses, and, you know, you are stronger than you know is a call to action. It's a prayer. It's a remembrance. I've recited it in previous shows. Anybody who wants to hear and read this, you just ping me in the comment stream, and I'll share it with you. But this is, you want to talk about entheos. You want to talk about divinely inspired. This was the spirit of divinity. This was God, the universe, speaking to me and through me, because I had the same kind of a day that Christine and Jess had yesterday. In fact, we were all, yesterday in our content strategy meeting, we were all in our humanity. We were wonderfully and beautiful human and fragile and effed up. All of us agreed this was a good day to stay in frickin' bed. But you know what? We got up, we got out, and we moved forward, because what carries us forward is knowing who we are and why we're here. And even in the face of shadow and doubt and tragedy or controversy, it's that remembrance that carries us through and sustains us, period. So you are, we are, I am stronger than we know, because the reality here is we're still here. We've taken our shots. We've had crippling doubt and fear. And anybody who says they don't or they haven't, the joke's on you. You're kidding yourself. You are in the hallucination, and you're trying to make nice, when the reality is you sit in the center of the storm and you breathe and you remember who you are. So it's we're 5 over. This has been the most amazing conversation, building on the private one we had yesterday, where I'm almost speechless. Alert the media. The fact that we three could be that unvarnished and vulnerable and say, I am a hot mess. And I'm not really sure why I'm here today, but I'm still here. I still showed up. Was for me a miracle. And in our conversation, somehow we inspired another one, or each of us. That's why I get up in the morning. That's why we are here, is to rattle the trees, shake the ground you stand on, and say, not to put too fine a point on it, wake the fuck up. Boom! Oh, yeah. All right. So maybe decaf next time for Jorge Verde here. So the reality here is we're here because we're inspired to inspire you. We're here because what we do is the thing we can't not do, and it scares the dickens out of us. We make a career out of crapping our pants. Yes or no?
Yes.
So let's bring the fire around one last time before we move into the final segment of the final episode of the Lucid Living Show, now evolving into the Mindfulness Advantage Show. And I would love for all three of you to bring the fire one last time. And our custom here is to offer up an invitation to inspiration and action. So who wants to go first? Sheila.
Christine and I raised our hands at the very same time. I'm going first because I have to run, and y'all may go over a little bit. What a joy just to be here. I mean, I stayed quiet, but there were so many times you would see me go like this because y'all were just into it. And I knew I wanted to say something, but it was far better for me to listen than it was to contribute. I do want to recognize the audience. They have just been fabulous. William Rock, Roxanne Davenport showed up. You mentioned Cheryl Deuce. We have Robin Love, I believe. Lots of good comments that you will want to go back and check on, and I know you will. It has been my great pleasure and my great joy to be here with you. Thank you all.
Sheila, your heart, your generosity, your spirit, and as I love to say, your genteel nature, she calls it like she sees it, is so greatly appreciated and welcome, darling. So you tap out and go get your next miracle on. Thank you so much for being the backbone today. We love you and we appreciate you.
Anytime you need me, you let me know, and I'll be here in the playground. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye now. All right, so who's next to bring the fire to put your invitation out for inspiration and action?
I'll go because I know Jess has like a big boom to drop on us. So
yes,
my call to inspiration and action is, I put it in the comment stream. Joyce Meyer says this all the time. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. Your purpose and being enthusiastic about it, it is not, I'm going to be honest, it's not a walk of, in the field of roses. Just like Gia Boob shared, yesterday was a day that we wanted to curl up, I know I did, and stay with the covers over my head and not even be bothered. But my passion and my enthusiasm and my commitment to my beloved people, that's what pushed me out of the bed. And once I got through that step, it led to the next and so on. So just do it afraid. And William Rock, hey, good to see you. He says, do it because you can. We have the limitless, limitless, limitless power of the divine that has put together all of this creation. The sun rises every morning and sets every evening like clockwork. So if all of that can happen, just imagine what you do when you put your faith in that power. So know that you can do it. Mwah. Thank you, Gio, for having me today.
Now stick around, y'all, because we've got Jessica bringing the fire and inspiration next, and then our final segment you're going to want to stay for, your moments of mindfulness. So bring it, Jessie.
This is what I've got. I am amazing. It is a sticker, all right? I even have socks that say I am amazing. But this sticker goes right next to my keyboard on my thing, and every single day, every time I look down on my keyboard, I can't help but look over to the side and smile a little because I get reminded I am amazing. Make one for yourself. Stick it on your mirror. Do something every single day, because even when you can't do it anymore and you might have tears in your eyes, or you might be kicking a door, or you might just be running because there's nothing else to do but just get that energy out of you, that's when we are our most amazing, and we know something is in our way, and we know there's something more that we are supposed to show up for, let go of, to see what comes next, or just to be able to create a little bit of space to show up. And that commitment to ourselves and honoring those things that we feel and going through the actions that we need to take to be able to show up, to have that enthusiasm, to create that commitment, to then find this flow that keeps us going. That's why I do what I do. And I love talking to people, and I love talking to people who are in business, because businesses are also these entities that have a purpose for our community. And the amount of people that come together to make businesses successful, even though there might be only one person in a business, or 10,000 or 100,000 people in that business, every single one of those people matters. And that goes back to something, Christine, you said, and I wrote this down. I have to figure out how to start using this. I am a significant speck.
Yeah!
I mean, okay, she said that, and I actually wrote it down. It was so stinking cool. And so each one of us is a significant speck in the broader world that we live in, and without each one of us, our world wouldn't be what it is today. Our world wouldn't have the possibility it has today. So I want to keep the conversations going, and I want to keep connecting with everybody out there, and definitely you, Christine, and definitely you, George. And I'm honored to have been here and shared this time with both of you.
Yay. Man, holy cow. Y'all have curled my toes. All right, so both Christine and Jessica, if you would, in the comment stream, let our friends and our followers and the people who are going to watch and replay, let them know how to get in touch with you. Put your website address up in there. And you can also find Christine L. Bowen on the plus and Jessica Dewell on the plus. I am so delighted. I'm vibrating. It's like the universe is tickling every cell in my body right now because of the quality and the fire that we four in cahoots created for ourselves, and first and foremost for you, friends. So now we're going to move into the final segment. Please stick around, because if you thought we were bringing the fire, this is the closer right here. Let me just grab that piece. And again, thank you, Christine and Jessica, and thank you for letting people know how to get in touch with you. Now it's time for your moments in mindfulness. Excuse me. Friends, when you rest your full focus and mindful attention upon what matters most, upon your heart, your passions, and upon your own natural desire, enthusiasm, and fire for personal mastery, you instantly open yourself up to greater possibilities. With daily focus and practice, you'll discover yourself more and more immersed in and operating from a natural and true state of grace. So, too, when you make your commitment to go for it and play all in each and every day, you discover there are a multitude of resources available to you, much more than you might have originally imagined or perceived. In this extraordinary state of grace, you've created and sustained for yourself your imagination, creativity, your vision, living now and animated by your inspired actions, and that they all combine alchemically to create massive momentum and miracles in your life. Here is just one such story of momentum and miracles. This is the story of William Hutchinson Murray, expert Scottish mountain climber and World War II prisoner of war. After his capture in northern Africa and during his internment in prisoner of war camps, William Hutchinson Murray wrote a book titled Mountaineering in Scotland, written on the only thing available to him in the prisoner of war camp, rough toilet paper. His manuscript was eventually discovered and destroyed by the Germans. much to the amazement of his fellow prisoners, and despite his weakened condition as well as the ongoing risk of discovery and again loss. Murray chose to begin writing again, and miraculously his rewritten book was finally published after the war in 1947. These are William Hutchinson's words of encouragement. Consider them to be your call to action, your call to boldly step forward into your own hero's or Shero's journey now. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth that ignorance of kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do, or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. The words of William Hutchinson Murray. Friends, today's show completes our Jumpstart Your January series. We thank you for joining us, and we invite you to enjoy, share, and replay our 4 epic episodes. You'll find a link to our Jumpstart page in the comment stream, where you'll find all 4 of our episodes later on this afternoon, about in an hour. Plus, links to connect with all our Jumpstart Your January featured guests. Most importantly, my featured guests, Christine L. Bowen, Jessica Dewell, and Artemis Kassane, and I invite you now to be bold, to embody your enthusiasm, and to forge forward with faith and fire. Begin it now. Join us again next week and bring a friend for the new Mindfulness Advantage show. Conversations with ordinary people just like you, achieving the extraordinary. Stick around. I'm going to throw the green room link up for anybody who wants to jump in, visit, and comment. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host, George E. Green. Welcome to your new playground. Welcome to your next and greatest adventure. We'll see you next time.